All right, everybody, and welcome to week 4. This is your course director, Emily Ray. Wanted to give you a little bit of positive, productive feedback on your portfolio websites. So before I begin this review, I kind of want to set it up by letting you guys know that the focus of your upcoming class, which is Portfolio 3, is really going to center around enhancing this site. So I understand that this, for many of you, was your first effort towards building your very important portfolio. And in the upcoming course, you're going to spend time revising your site based on what I share here, and also the further development of your personal brand, logo, and any other content development assets that you want to add to support the well-roundedness and the relevancy of how you want to portray yourself online. So I'm going to start this review by just focusing on 4 students, and I've got them all queued up here, so I'm going to leave this presentation slide and now head over to where I've got them queued up. So first off, we've got Christine. It's very clean and minimalist in its appearance when you first get to the page. What I did notice, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page, is that when I initially pulled this up, what happens is that it has a video here that starts to autoplay, right? And so what happens with that is that you have you've made a decision for your viewer to have that autoplay, but they may or may not be in a position where they can or want to watch that asset immediately. So let's say I was looking at this at work when I should have been concentrating on a spreadsheet, or I'm in a library and pulled up this page and don't want to have blaring audio come on. So it's a user experience consideration to make sure that you give your audience or your visitor the option to play, right? So don't ever have any music or video autoplay on your site. Looking at the information that's available to me here on the fold, it seems as if you're branding yourself as Standout Productions, but it also has your name here, which is nice so that we can identify who we're looking at. And it says Be Seen. I'm wondering if that's a tagline of some kind. Our navigation options are Home, Projects, Career, and Connect. So I'm going to take a look and poke through each of those. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So here it says Crafting Stories with Care and Pride in the Project. Through intelligent, purposeful design, a little bit about you, your ideas, and your contact information down here. A nice picture. You provide a lot of great information on this page, but what I'll say is that you've got this big header and you've got this intro video that may, if someone decides to play it, tell them what you do, and then you've given it a really nice sort of summary or synopsis right here. I would encourage you to potentially make this a little bit shorter, and then if you can, move this video over here to the side and then bring this part up, right? Like I know that stylistically you have this a certain way, but just thinking about the high value real estate area, you want to make sure that as soon as someone lands on your site, they know what you do. So jumping next to the projects page, here I see your work loading in. As I hover over them, I can see that you have given them a little bit of context here. So Timber Shave Club ad, GD skills example. So you know what GD is, but maybe somebody else doesn't know that that stands for graphic design. So, just be thinking ahead that, the common language that we use to describe the work that we do might not be what the general population does. It looks like you've got a nice variety of things here. I certainly like that you have, given them titles to help us understand what you created and why. You got different videos here. One of the things I'll say about adding videos, you want to make sure that you give it a title and a short description. The reason for that is as a viewer or a visitor, I have an option to view something. I can push play or not. Your title and your description gives me more information about whether or not I want to do that. Jumping next to career. So here we see just a little bit about, it's kind of like a resume page, right? We've got your skills and education and certificates. We've got this all laid out really nicely over here. I can scan your information to see how you've worked and, just past jobs, that sort of thing. It's laid out really nicely with the bullet points and the headings and subheadings. And over here you have just some, a little bit of, it looks like some testimonials or thank you notes, as well as your lynda.com certificates. So These graphics in this size aren't super usable because I can't read the text. I'm going to go ahead and click on one, and it does bring it up to a much larger display, and I can read them. So at least in that sense that they are, they do have value and that I can read what they're saying. I would definitely edit the title or the description of what you see here because it defaults just to the file name. And if you could, maybe make these the same dimension or size, right? So maybe all the same. These look nicely in a grid here where you can see they're all the same. Is there a way to crop these to the same dimensions of this so you get a nice even column there? Last but not least, let's jump over to the Connect page where we see just a map of where you're located. And then we've got this contact form down here. And this, I believe, is available on every page of the site. It is. So really all you're offering here on this page is a map, right? But a lot of this work that you do could be done virtually. So just highlighting on the Connect page your geographical location might be selling yourself short. Might be suggesting that you can only connect with me if you are in this general vicinity. So I would recommend, I mean, it's cool that you want to show where you are locally, but maybe pull the map down here and get rid of the Connect page altogether because having it all here in the footer makes it available on every page of the site. Overall, a really strong start to your portfolio website, and can't wait to see how this continues to develop next month with all your personal brand assets. Next up, we've got Taurean. So, upon first appearance, I dig the color, like the black and the kind of yellow gold, and then some, cool video that's going on here. But what I notice is that, like, I don't really have any clue before I start to scroll what this site is about, who it's about, what is the work, what is the focus, because we kind of have just some it's kind of abstract, right? It means a lot to you. It means a lot in the way that you characterize the work you do or identify. But as someone who doesn't know, it doesn't make any sense, right? That this is a portfolio or that it is, intended to showcase photography work or street photography. I get that. When I scroll down a little bit further and start to read here about, Frozen Juice Box Select, Born to Photograph. So here I learn a little bit more and everything starts to make sense. But you're counting on me doing that, and I might not. I might be, land on this page and say, I don't know what this is, it doesn't make sense, and then click away. You want to do everything you can to give your viewers or your visitors, information that they're in the right spot, or, a quick way to characterize where they are so they know whether or not they want to explore more. So scrolling down here, we get to see a little bit about you. You've got a nice chunk here. It's not overwhelming. We've got a contact link down here. And then just some examples of your street photography, how I get it done, a little bit of a story about you. So I like that you've included this, but like you have a very small content window. Like I'd like to be able to see this whole area here, but I'm just able to see the portion of it that's showing up like right in here. And like, look at all this available space on my screen that like you've given me just kind of a peeking area to look at this. I definitely think that's something you should address in an upcoming revision. Scrolling down, we've got the images and like how you're sharing them. You've got them in these light box. I clicked on it and it looks like it's taking me, it looked like it took me to an entirely different site or page. No, it's not a different site, but what is happening? It is taking me kind of to a light box effect, right? And I see this, this photography, and it's great, but I'm wondering if you could give me some titles or contextualize what I'm seeing. Like, how does this make sense? What does it mean to you and your art? Why did you choose to showcase this here? Would love just to get a little bit more about the uniqueness in your process. So I'm closing that and I'm going to just continue to scroll. I got your contact information here. I would say having an email address and your contact form is a bit redundant because here I have to take the extra step of copy, paste, open up my Gmail or my Apple Mail, but here I can just send you a message via this form and it acts the same way. We've got your social media accounts that look like they are definitely linking to your other locations on the web, which is good. So on the about, okay, that's this section here. The bio is about you. On the street is your photography, and contact is that last little bit. Okay, so what I'm seeing is you've done a nice one-page design here, which is really compact and functional. But this header takes up a big space of big space up here in the top. I would suggest maybe add your branding elements and put it up here. so that we get more of a full screen view of what's going on. Overall, this is a wonderful start, and I'm like really excited to see how you continue to curate sort of your ideas and your craft and your art here. Looking forward to seeing how the personal brand elements, the logo, and styles really help this get to its next best place in Portfolio 3. Moving on, we've got Solange, and so just like really beautifully clean, professional looking. So here we've got her name, so clear branding information right at the top. A little bit of information, aspiring public relations professional, and some contact information and a really nice picture. I'm scrolling down, and here I get in her social media, so as I'm hovering them, I can see that they are in fact linking to other locations on the web. Just a short little bio, so this is who she is and what she's interested in. We've got her experience. So here, it's kind of like a resume setup, and it comes in really nice, very well formatted. The styles on this are consistent and clean. And then we've got your educational stuff too, so that's fantastic. Scrolling down, we've got your skills. So these are, you know, kind of your tech skills, but also soft skills. So leadership and you know, some of these other things, speech writing, talking points are all incredibly important to show. So all that is great. Your achievements, these are basically your lynda.com certifications, and they look really nice here. I'm going to go ahead and click on one to see what happens. So it's taking me to the actual the tutorial so that someone could see basically the full thing that you've done there. So that's cool. And you know, these images are big enough that I can read what you've written. There are some like alignment issues. So you tend to look like you're very detail oriented, and that like alignment and look and feel is really important. So you know, some people might consider this nitpicky, but I'm gonna just, you know, show you that, like, so here is where the word certificate completion lines up on the first one, but then a lot lower on the subsequent ones. And it looks like you're having this similar issue here, right? So I would look to the dimensions and how you're cropping this. It also looks as if this portion of the grid is it looks as if it's a bit wider. So that could be to accommodate for these longer titles, which is fine. But go ahead and make these the same length so that you're getting a very you know, consistent sizing and formatting in grid. So we've got your contact information here. So just a little bit about your phone and how to get in touch via email. Again, I would say that including this and the contact form is redundant because I have to do the extra step of copy paste into my mail client, whereas here I can just submit the form from your website. Overall, this is super duper clean, and I really appreciate this as being a strong foundation to move into Portfolio 3. Kind of what I noticed is missing is kind of any real work samples. We've got your experience and education. How about some projects? If you don't know, you know, what to showcase as an aspiring public relations professional, let's talk about that. Case studies tend to be, you know, important. How you can take a company from here to there, or manage their presence, or manage their social media, or manage their image. Anything that you can show your effect on a company or with a client would be something that you'd want to include here. But overall, super job. Last but not least, we've got Hayley's site here. I know this because I pulled it up as Hayley's, but looking at the information that's available to me when I first pulled this site up, I don't have any real clear branding information. I have no name. Up here I can see H2O photographics, right? So it's a very clean, it looks very image heavy, so, and even by the name and the URL here, photographics, it gives me a bit of an idea, but you're really having to make me work for it, right? You're having to make me wonder and, you know, okay, here's the menu, but unless I take that extra step of going over and scrolling, I don't even know what my options are in terms of navigating your site. So I would say that, you know, the full screen images are great. Certainly your photography is excellent and needs to be showcased, but I would highly recommend having a static header up here with some more clear branding information and the navigational options, so I know what my choices are for clicking around. Here I see your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of that is nice and linking out to the various locations where they need to be. On the menu, it looks like we've got some a bit of a branding. You know, we got a logo here to kind of match with your H2O photographics, and all this is really clean and nice. Going going to click on these. So under About, we've got, it looks like it's loading up. So here, just a little bit of About You. So here, click here to view my resume, although I'm trying to click it and nothing is happening here on the page. So it looks like that link might be not working. We got a small picture of you, and it says here, I'm scared. Among other things, I'm an artist, photographer, cook, most importantly, a wife and mother. And so like this is a wonderful bio, but it doesn't really introduce who you are. It's kind of anonymous in that we get your picture, but it doesn't say this is my name, or you know, so think about you know, doing that. You're a beautiful photographer, but we've got just this tiny little image of you here, and so like why aren't we maximizing the use of the area in this realm, right? So you pop up just this tiny little bit of kind of a window, and I'd like to see you maximize more of the available space for yourself. I'm going to just, it looks like under photography, you've got lots of different examples. Kids, headshots, families, couples. Let's go ahead and take a look at your headshots. So I'm assuming that, okay, so it's loading in this tiny little window too. So we've got picture and picture and picture and picture. It's a functional template, but I'm not sure that it really, it's kind of overwhelming too, because we get these images looping in the back, which is kind of distracting. And then, you know, we're having to kind of hunt for, you know, what to view here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this to see what happens. So it looks like here it's going to open up in a light box. And again, the quality of the work is on point, but it really doesn't allow each photo to kind of stand on its own. If you think about like a gallery, you know, each piece of art is very clearly and cleanly displayed to allow somebody to really take in the significance of that particular piece. And that's kind of what is attempting to happen here by the light box effect, right? So we get the darkness that kind of shades everything behind it, but still we have so much movement, so much distraction that we can't absorb this one photo just for itself. So it's for things to be thinking about. I mean, I bet that you probably use this site professionally already. It would be my bet that this is not something that you just created for this particular class. If it is, then you've done an amazing amount of work in a short period of time. But kind of thinking forward about how, you know, you are displaying this in best practices and just the strategy behind it. You know, just some things to think about for Portfolio 3. So I'm going to look at some of the art now, so the hand-drawn. All right, so it's bringing in just some really cool illustrations and some of the work that you've done. It's awesome. I'm going to click on one and see how it pops up. So these are great, right? Like these are great. I would love just to, you know, you include everything very visually, but not a lot in terms of the contextualization of what you created or why. I'd love to know more about. It looks as if here there is a place for you to add that type of metadata, title, description. Here it looks like it's just by default pulling in the file name, so I'd pay some attention to that detail. Back to the menu. So this is another kind of usability issue, is that this is jumping around. Like I have no consistent place to be able to go back. That's the beauty of having something static at the top and at the bottom, is that as a user, I know I can always go back to this one place to navigate around your site and to figure out my way. I'm going to jump really quick to blog to see what we've got. So it looks like we've got a couple of different, you know, a couple of different posts here. Making time when you have no time. You know, it looks like you have just a couple of posts. I'm going to go ahead and click on one to see. So here it looks like, okay, yeah, I was curious about when this site was actually put together, just because of the amount of content and the breadth of the work that we see here. But this looks like 2012, right? So, and actually it says it down here. I guess I could have looked a little bit harder and found that out. So, you know, the functionality and kind of the layout and the usability of this is a little more antiquated with what we're seeing today in terms of web design and trends. And so, you know, the relevancy of what we see here is in question just because of the timestamp on this material. So certainly moving forward, I'd like to, you know, for you to maybe think about what it is that is fresh and new and representative of where you are right now, and being very choosy, you know, being very choosy about what to carry forward in your media communications career. So last but not least, we've got our contact area. So name, information, we've got the, the email. Again, a little redundant to have both. Overall, this is a wonderful collection of work. And fantastically put together. As you move into Portfolio 3, there's a lot of opportunity for you to think about the evolution of who you want to be in media and start making strides in that direction. But overall, all of these sites are fantastic, and I look forward to continuing to see their growth in Portfolio 3.